So the old Switcheroo 2 seems to have been leaked. A bunch of images are out there circulating around on the interwebs, and I will not be showing those on this here channel because I don't want Nintendo to hold my family hostage. But I will discuss the details with you all, and I'll maybe even link to some sites in the description where you can get more of a look into the actual console itself, the leaked console itself. And when I first saw this, I was like, okay, here goes another Switch 2 rumor. You know, we're in the rumor mill. This is the period where people are hotly anticipating the Switch 2, and we've seen quite a few rumors pop up about the Switch that have been debunked, and a lot of theories and guessing games and a lot of predictions and all of that out there. But as time went on, I ended up seeing this article pop up from VGC where they said that they, have sources who confirmed that this design that was, leaked on, I think it was Reddit, that this is what Nintendo partners are expecting from this hardware, at least from the design standpoint of this hardware. I'm going to read a couple snippets from this article, and obviously I'll have the article linked down below so that you can go check it out in full, but it says the images which appeared on Reddit but were originally sourced from a Chinese social media site showed a device with a larger 8-inch screen, magnetic Joy-Cons, and USB-C ports on both the top and bottom. While the images are unverified, one source who has not seen the final Switch 2 console but has been briefed on Nintendo's plans told VGC that the Reddit images match what the company has told partners to expect from its design. Says VGC has asked Nintendo for a comment on this story. I'm assuming obviously Nintendo will not be getting back anytime soon with anybody commenting on this story, but it says, according to today's images, Switch 2 will include 12 gigabytes of RAM compared to the 4 gigabytes of the original Switch, support for HDMI 2.1, and 256 gigabytes of internal storage compared to the 32 gigabytes from, the Switch 1, which is a humongous increase, and I think that definitely indicates we can expect some more third-party support, which we'll get into in a second. But the article goes on to say, while the design shown in the images shows similar controllers to the current Switch, there are some notable changes, such as revised SLSR buttons and front-facing player LEDs. The images are also in line with earlier reports on Switch 2's design previously. Publications including VGC reported that the Switch successor would include a larger 8-inch screen, and a Nintendo patent suggested that it would be opting for a new magnetic attachment for its controllers. Two sources VGC spoke to last year suggested that the console could launch with an LCD screen instead of the more premium OLED in order to bring down costs, especially considering the increased storage needed for higher fidelity games. Chinese peripheral maker Mobipad also previously claimed that the Switch 2 handheld will support 1080p resolution and that its new dock will support 4K resolution. The article goes on to talk about how it was claimed that the Switch 2 was supposed to launch in like 2024, and they made the decision to delay it to early 2025. Some people believe that it was software dependent. Some people believe it was to avoid any like potential hardware supply issues. And yeah, it goes on to say here that David Gibson from MST Financial is saying he still expects the Switch 2 to launch in March 2025, and he expects that we actually get news on the Switch 2, official news on the Switch 2 this month, September of 2024. But I think the most interesting and kind of shocking detail here to me, once again, these are all rumors at the time being, nothing confirmed, but the rumors are suggesting that it's going to be, the Switch 2 is going to be about as powerful, similarly powered to the Xbox Series S. And I actually saw this from Okami13 on Twitter. Everything will be linked down below. I like to give people their, the people who are going out there and doing the digging and finding this shit, I like to give them their flowers. That way I'm not just, stealing someone's shit and trying to act like I'm reporting it as my own. So these are the alleged specs. In handheld mode, right above PS4, before DLSS. Docked, it'll be about PS4 Pro to Xbox Series S power before DLSS, with more modern hardware than the former. RAM slower than the PS5 and Series X and S in the speed department, but more capacity than the Xbox Series S. Should have about 10.5 to 11 gigabytes of RAM available to games going by the Switch 1's RAM allotment for its OS. For the storage, the UFS, the Universal Flash Storage, 3.1's max speed should be a hair under the Xbox Series X and S, the 2.1 gigabytes versus 2.4 gigabytes. Still plenty fast, even if not maxed out. Lines up with what Digital Foundry and Nate Drake heard about decompression techniques and fast load times of the Breath of the Wild tech demo, respectively, for each source. Not only is the Switch 2 ARM based rather than x86 like the systems compared, it's also NVIDIA versus AMD. There are plenty of factors at play to where it's not an apples to apples comparison, plus the native tensor cores of the Switch 2 will allow for DLSS, letting the system punch above its weight. So I can't lie, this is all kind of shocking to me. Like, I was expecting the Switch 2 to at best be like base power of your PS4, like your base 2013 launch model PS4. I was expecting the Switch 2 to be of a similar power range to that base PlayStation 4, base Xbox One model. So this is much more powerful than I was ever expecting. And it makes me really think about, the fact that third-party support was very, very minimal for the original Switch. And I would assume, since developers now, are being forced to put their games on Series X, like if you want to put your game on Xbox, you also have to put it on the Series S. Like, you can't just make a Series X model. So developers are already having to create that model for the Series S. I would be very shocked if they didn't say, okay, well, while we're doing this, how about that? I mean, Nintendo, the Switch 2 in the first year of its life cycle, it will sell 20, 30 million units, I would suspect. So I would assume developers are going to be opting in to support, third-party developers are going to be opting in to support the Switch 2 almost immediately. And I kind of wonder if like the Steam Deck had any role in kind of nudging Nintendo in this direction of really beefing up that machine and creating something much more powerful. And of course, the Steam Deck is no comparison to the Switch. I think the Steam Deck sold a total of like 5 million units or something to the Switch's 100+ million. Like, it's not, there's no real comparison in terms of commercial success, but I think there is like an optical level of threat there where it's like, if you want to look at this other handheld on the market and it is this absolute powerhouse, and then you got the Switch, which is, another handheld on the market that is definitely not up to that same bar in terms of technical performance. But to be fair, people buy consoles, people buy handhelds, people buy devices to play the games. And you ain't gonna be running Mario on your... Well, I guess you can... Yes? Okay, let's step back. Legally, you're not gonna be running your Marios and your Zeldas and your Kirbys and your Metroids on your Steam Deck. People are gonna go where the games are. And some of the greatest games of all time will be running on that Switch 2. You can almost guarantee it. And, thinking about the next... Zelda game, the next open world Zelda game, the next 3D Mario game running on that system, along with the third-party support that you're gonna get. Dude, this is getting me kind of hyped for the old Switch 2. I didn't know if I was gonna get in the door, but I'm kind of hyped. And also, for me, obviously, you all know I'm a big physical media supporter, and you do see... I will, hopefully my damn channel doesn't get nuked for this, but I will drop in the little photo so that you can see, the system opened up and you can actually see where the cartridge slot will be. There's some cool little additions being made here, but I know a lot of people were concerned. Is the Switch 2, is it gonna, you're seeing the PS5 kind of move away from physical media. You're seeing Xbox totally move away from physical media. Is the next Nintendo console gonna move away from physical media? And I've long been under the belief that there is no way in hell. You see, like, still to this day, Nintendo, their first party sales are like 50-50 between digital and physical. They are not moving away from physical media for decades. And I know there's also a lot of concern with backwards compatibility, but this looks like a similar, cartridge size that's being implemented into the Switch 2. I think you're going to be able to run all your old cartridges on the original Switch, or from the original Switch on the Switch 2. Once again, none of this has been confirmed, but just based off of what we're seeing here, I think backwards compatibility all of your Switch 1 games, or at least the vast majority of your Switch 1 games, I would imagine they'll run on the Switch 2, along with, your new edition of physical media that you want to buy for the Switch 2. Like, I don't mean to get, overly hyped about all of this, but there is just so much doom and gloom in the physical media space that this feels nice. This feels nice to see that cartridge slot and to be going into a new generation of consoles and, kind of, you're like, yeah, this feels right. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy me some damn Switch 2 games. I'm going to be able to play those things, and it might be a little bit worse as the higher gigabyte games that you're having to download this and that. You might have more patches that you're opting in for with the Switch 2, but it is still nice to know that I would assume, at least for first party, a vast majority of those games you're going to be able to put in your Switch 2, play those bad boys. You're going to be able to play a lot of your back catalog on that thing. At least I would imagine. Maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but I don't know. That's kind of how I'm feeling. I don't know if it's just the way it's positioned in some of these shots, but this Switch 2 looks beefy. Like, this thing looks big as hell. And the Switch 1 was already kind of uncomfortable to hold, so which I'll be playing it, if I do end up picking one up, I'll be playing it docked for sure for the majority of the time. But for the people who have issues with the Switch 1 and it being a little bit of a pain to play in handheld, this looks even bigger. So yeah, man. But the price, that's the next thing. The price, because in terms of predictions, I do predict we'll have full backwards compatibility, all that good stuff. The price, that's the thing I'm the most curious about going into, this launch, going into the official reveal. So I do want to hear y'all's price predictions down below. If they launch this thing at $399 US, that would be a huge optical win for Nintendo. I don't think, just based off of the tech that we're hearing there, they would be taking, I would imagine they'd be taking a pretty big hit on that. I imagine they'd be taking a pretty big loss, which they will certainly make up for it in a very, very short amount of time with the software sales. But I don't think they're going to be willing to take that type of hit on this hardware. So I'm going to predict they launch this thing at $499 US. And I also am going to predict it doesn't get much backlash at all. I think coming off of the, Series X at $600 for the 2TB version, and then the $700 PS5 Pro, I think if you hear 500, that sticker shock isn't going to be there at all, because we've been so, I guess, desensitized to some effect over the most recent hardware announcements and the price point that comes along with those. So yeah, exciting stuff, man. Very, very exciting. Switch 2, maybe an announcement in September if some of these rumors are to be believed, but definitely launching in 2025. And I don't know, this is a pretty feel good story to me. So yeah, this is cool.